Brutal fight. Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock attacked by thugs. It was supposed to be a peaceful evening in downtown Los Angeles. Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock, longtime friends and former co-stars, had just finished dinner at an upscale restaurant. Laughing and reminiscing about their past films, they decided to take a short walk before heading home. The streets were quiet, with only a few people strolling about. The warm glow of streetlights illuminated the sidewalk as the two actors walked side by side. It was a rare moment of normalcy for them. No cameras, no screaming fans, just two friends enjoying each other's company. However, their peaceful night was about to take a dark turn. As they turned down a secluded alleyway, 5 men emerged from the shadows. Their faces were covered with masks, and their hands were clenched into fists. One of them, a tall man with a scar across his cheek, stepped forward. Well, look who we have here," he sneered. "Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. What are the odds?" Keanu's eyes narrowed as he instinctively stepped in front of Sandra. "We don't want any trouble," he said calmly. The thug laughed. "Oh, but we do." He pulled out a knife, while his accomplices brandished metal pipes and brass knuckles. "Hand over your wallets, watches, and whatever else you've got." Sandra's heart pounded. She knew they were in serious danger, but she also knew Keanu wasn't just an actor. He had trained in martial arts for years. Still, the odds were against them. The first thug lunged at Keanu, slashing with his knife. Keanu dodged with incredible speed, grabbing the man's wrist and twisting it sharply. The knife clattered to the ground, and with a swift kick to the chest, Keanu sent the attacker flying backward. The second thug swung a metal pipe at him. Keanu ducked just in time, the pipe barely missing his head. He retaliated with a powerful uppercut, knocking the man off balance. Before the thug could recover, Keanu grabbed his arm and flipped him onto the pavement. Meanwhile, Sandra wasn't just standing idly by. She grabbed a loose wooden plank from the ground and swung it at an approaching attacker, striking him across the face. The thug stumbled backward, dazed. She followed up with a knee to his stomach, making him collapse in pain. Keanu and Sandra moved with perfect coordination, taking down one thug after another. Years of working together on action films had given them an unspoken understanding of each other's movements. They weren't just acting this time, this was real. The leader of the group, the man with the scar, was the only one left standing. He stared at his fallen comrades, then back at Keanu and Sandra. His bravado faded, replaced by fear. Keanu took a step forward. "You sure you want to continue this?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. The thug hesitated, then turned and ran into the night, disappearing into the shadows. Breathing heavily, Sandra looked at Keanu, then at the unconscious men sprawled around them. "Well," she said, trying to catch her breath, "that was intense." Keanu chuckled, brushing dust off his jacket. "Yeah, I think we just filmed an action scene without cameras." They quickly left the alley and called the police. Within minutes, sirens filled the air, and officers arrived to arrest the injured criminals. As Keanu and Sandra gave their statements, one of the officers couldn't help but shake his head in amazement. "You two just took down an entire gang," he said. "That's some movie-level action right there." Sandra smiled. "Well, we've had some experience." Keanu put a comforting arm around her shoulders. "Next time, let's just stick to dinner and a quiet night." Sandra laughed, agreed. And with that, the two walked away, knowing that tonight would be another story to tell, one that was even more thrilling than any Hollywood film. The chaos of the night had settled, but the adrenaline was still pumping through Keanu and Sandra's veins. After finishing their police statements, they were escorted to their cars by an officer. "You should both be careful," the officer warned. "That gang isn't just a group of street thugs. They're part of something bigger." Keanu raised an eyebrow. "Bigger?" The officer nodded. "Yeah, we've been tracking them for months. They call themselves the Revenants. Violent, ruthless, and they don't take humiliation lightly. You embarrass them tonight, and they'll want revenge." Sandra exchanged a nervous glance with Keanu. "Great, so now we have a gang after us." Keanu sighed, rubbing his chin. "I was hoping for a quiet weekend." The officer gave them both a stern look. "If I were you, I'd lay low for a while." A dangerous return. The next day, Sandra was on set for her new movie, trying to focus on her scenes. But no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Her assistant, Chloe, noticed her unease. "Are you okay? You seem off." Sandra forced a smile. "Yeah, just tired." But deep down she wasn't convinced. Meanwhile, Keanu was at his home, practicing his martial arts routines in his personal gym. He had been in plenty of action films, but this was different. This was real. His instincts told him the fight from last night wasn't over. And he was right. That evening, as Keanu was leaving his house, he spotted a black SUV parked across the street. The windows were tinted, but he could feel the eyes on him. He pretended not to notice and walked toward his motorcycle. As soon as he turned the key, the SUV's engine roared to life. The vehicle sped toward him. Keanu barely had time to react. He jumped off his bike just as the SUV slammed into it, crushing the motorcycle under its tires. Rolling to his feet, Keanu reached for his phone, but before he could dial, 3 masked men jumped out of the SUV. "We told you we weren't done." One of them sneered. Keanu exhaled. "I was hoping you'd say that." Tat! Keanu strikes back. The first thug charged at him, swinging a crowbar. Keanu dodged effortlessly, delivering a brutal punch to the man's ribs. Another attacker pulled a switchblade, but Keanu caught his wrist mid-swing, twisting it until the knife dropped. With a swift elbow to the jaw, Keanu sent the man sprawling. The third thug hesitated. He had seen what Keanu did to his friends, but he was still determined. He pulled out a gun. Before he could aim, Keanu grabbed the fallen crowbar and hurled it like a spear. It struck the thug's hand, making him drop the weapon. Keanu sprinted forward, delivering a high kick to his chest, knocking him unconscious. Sirens blared in the distance. The remaining thugs scrambled back into the SUV and sped off, leaving his friends behind. Keanu picked up his phone and dialed Sandra. "We've got a problem." Sandra's peril. Meanwhile, at her home, Sandra was in her kitchen when she heard a loud bang at her front door. Her heart pounded. She grabbed a kitchen knife and slowly stepped toward the door. Another bang. This time louder. Suddenly, her phone rang. It was Keanu. She picked up instantly. "Keanu, I think someone's trying to break in." Before she could finish, the door burst open. 3 men stormed in, their faces covered. Sandra dropped her phone and took a step back, gripping the knife tightly. The tallest of them smirked. "Miss Bullock, we'd like to have a word."